Hey F1 fans, welcome to this edition of Who Moved Up and Who Moved Down. This time after two races. I think this is the first time I'm putting two races together into one video, so there isn't going to be as much detail about all the different things that happened in each race, but really wanting to focus more on the theme of this whole thing, which is, what are the big things that made people and teams move up and down relative to each other. So let's see what happened after Imola and Monaco. Starting with the teams. From Miami to Monaco, what has changed? Well, we have one change towards the back of the field. Williams, Alex Albon had to retire in Imola, but scored 2 points in Monaco. Those were his first 2 points and the team's first 2 points for this season, and it put them ahead of Alpine. Alpine moved down in spite of adding 1 point. They also added a point, to their standing, and it was Gasly. But they are behind because their finishing position was lower. Albon actually managed to score in P9. Beyond that, we have everyone else remains the same. And Haas had an unfortunate series of events. Both cars were disqualified after qualifying in the second race in Monaco because of DRS wing specifications, which is ironic because it's a race where DRS really has no effect whatsoever. So they basically, it's as if they didn't run qualifying and started at the back of the pack. And then another bad thing happened. Kevin Magnussen tried to make some headway, but ended up being in the wrong place at the wrong time and ended up crashing out both of the Haas cars in Monaco, plus also Sergio Perez on lap 1. So that was pretty disastrous for Haas. But, they stay where they are because they have 7 points. Looking at the differences between points, I don't know. Okay, we have a tie here, but it's hard for either of those teams to score points. Maybe Williams is really turning a corner, so maybe they'll have more. Alpine is also maybe turning a corner with Gasly able to score, and Ocon actually probably would have also scored if that hadn't happened. What hadn't happened, you say? I didn't actually say it. Ocon tried to pass Gasly and actually ran into him. Gasly didn't get noticeable damage and managed to keep his position, but Ocon was out. So, but yeah, they're nipping at those P10 points. So we'll see. Maybe something will come out of this tie between Williams and Alpine. Other than that, we have fairly big spaces between all the teams. So even though Yuki's doing really well and RB is advancing, it's a long shot to Aston Martin. Aston Martin is kind of falling a little bit, so we'll see, but it'll take a big fall. All right, let's move on to the drivers. Okay, so because we waited for 2 weeks, there's a little more to report. We have Charles Leclerc. Okay, big hero. He won his home race in Monaco, finally. And he also got a podium in Imola. So he definitely had a great time, moved up and widened that gap. Lando. We have Lando as well. Lando, in Imola, he came P2 and had a great fight with Verstappen. So everyone is super hopeful that McLaren is going to be able to challenge the Red Bulls in coming races. Specifically Max, because Lando was totally catching up to him there, and he said if I had a few more laps. Now, catching up is different than passing, but still, he was catching up fast, and Max was struggling. Okay, then we have Saints. In Monaco, Saints got away with going off track. That would have been the end. But because of the lap one red flag, when they restarted the race, they decided to reinstate the order minus the cars that were out. So he got his P3 back and got that podium. So he's also sticking to the moving up pack. Perez, however, is not sticking to the moving up pack. He barely got any points in Imola, and he got hit and was out in lap one in Monaco. That wasn't his fault, although I guess they said it was racing incident, so it was kind of a bit of both. It was a bit of Kevin, it was a bit of Perez. Maybe could have looked and seen him and not gone for the apex and closed the gap. So really sad for Perez. He moves down 3 spots in the championship. Ouch. Okay, what else do we have? We have Alonso and Hamilton switch places. Hamilton scored in both races, so he moves ahead. And I really gotta say, Mercedes overall, both drivers, even though they're struggling, they're there in P7-ish all the time, both of them. So that really helps them in the team championship. And Alonso, he moves down because in Imola, he lost out in Q1 and started from the pit. And then in Monaco, ended up P11. So just no points at all for him. Okay, we have more. We have a 3-way shuffle. So Albon moves up. Albon, in Imola, it started out bad because he had to retire the car, so nothing again. But in Monaco, he actually scored those 2 points for a P9, moving him up. So really happy for him. His first points, the team's first points. Yeah, definitely showing up as the primary driver in that team. Okay, Ocon, I already said that he crashed into Gasly, so he got 0 for the second race, and that was that. He goes down, and Magnussen, he stayed out of trouble in Imola, because if you remember in Miami, he did all that stuff to try to hold back people, and then he got all kinds of infringements and penalties. So he's 2 points away from a disqualification, because those are the points that he has against him on his F1 license, I guess. So that's why, you know, he stayed out of trouble is a significant thing. He's decided to just like not play shenanigans and be good. However, in Monaco, he crashed out both Haas cars plus Sergio Perez, as we mentioned. So ouch, nothing. All right, we have one more swap between Gasly and Zhou. Gasly scored his first points in Monaco. So yep, happy for him. And he sets himself up as a not pointless driver anymore. And Zhou, unfortunately, still has no points, still just struggling with that car and falling down 1 to make room. All right, now for everyone else who stayed the same, Max, because, you know, there's some talk there because he's not as strong as before, so we have to mention a little bit. I was just wondering what this big red stripe is. It's his number. His number is 1. It just seems really out of place sitting there by itself. But yeah, in Imola, Max had to struggle. He really struggled to stay ahead of Lando at the end there. And in Monaco, he started and finished P6. The car was just on a knife edge, so he didn't put a whole lap together. And there you go, P6. And even though they managed to pit and put on fresh tires about 3/4 of the way through the race, he caught up to George Russell in front of him like 4 seconds per lap. And even with that tire differential, he could not pass him. That's Monaco for you. But yeah, not to worry, I think. Max is still up there, but it's no longer necessarily smooth sailing. Okay, for Piastri, Imola, he got a 3-grid penalty for impeding, but still ended up in P4. So just showing again how well the McLarens are performing, and also just Piastri himself being able to recover from that and still do well. And he finished in P2 in Monaco, which is his best race finish. So kudos to him. He's doing extremely well. He got P4, P2. Lando got P2, P4. So they basically got 2 P3s if you want to average it out. Yeah, McLaren doing extremely well. Definitely right in the fight there. Okay, one of my favorites, I can't resist to comment, Tsunoda scored in both races, earning 5 more points. Everyone else is pretty much staying the same without too much to report. Let's just take a look at the point differences. Okay, so there's some smallish gaps up here that can be swallowed up. So we have Norris, Sainz, and Perez. Yeah, really anything can happen there. Perez can have really good races. So if he does, he can jump back, but maybe not in front of Leclerc. He might have lost that one. Norris is on the move up. Piastri's on the move up, but still, you know, a little bit of a gap behind. So we'll see. But there will definitely be some action here. I think Max is still safe. I actually think Charles is still safe. So these 3 here. Where else do we have a smallish gap? Well, a 9. But yeah, Alonso's and Aston Martin's really going to have to turn that around to close it. And then, of course, as we fall further down, points are harder to get. And there's not likely to be much action. Ollie Behrman is still holding on there with Hulky until Hulky manages to get 1 more point. All right. So that's it. We had a lot of moves. Whenever we have a double or triple header, I will combine the races again. But our next race is in Canada in just 2 weeks. We have another week off. So I will see you after that race. Please like and subscribe if you like. Thank you.